Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase pricing and availability questions regarding this watch. So today we are discussing the Royal Oak Chronograph from Audemars Piguet. This is the 26240 in stainless steel, and the example I show you here was retailed in 2023. 41 millimeters in diameter in stainless steel. The watch is 12.5 millimeters thick. From lug tip to lug tip, just the case, 51.5 millimeters. If we include these end links, the plot, then the plots add a little bit of space across the wrist. It's 55.1 total distance across the wrist. We'll throw it on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference. And it wears well, though I would recommend that this watch not be worn on a wrist much smaller than mine. It is broad, and you can really see down the barrel that the plots, those intermediate links at the end, they really do stretch out to the edge of my wrist. Here's your over-the-top shot, which confirms as much. But you will note that with a sloped bezel and a reasonably thin profile, it will slip underneath the dress cuff. The watch is substantial, heavy. In spite of being a base metal, it's got a robustness to it that's agreeable if you believe a watch should feel its price. We have a rubber strap here, and you can see it's an AP factory strap in excellent condition. We have a little bevel molded into the side, strakes molded into the top, and it's fixed to the case using screws and bars, which is always the right way to do this. I always prefer screws and bars to spring bars. They're just more secure. And then we roll down to the clasp, where you can see that there is a single fold friction fit AP logo style clasp. Audemars Piguet branded inside and out. Rolling around the case, of course, Gerald Genta created the first Royal Oak in 1972, and the idea then was integration of case, lugs, and bracelet. In the absence of a bracelet, we have this fully integrated strap design, so it's still coherent. The finishing on the metal is as graceful as ever and always labor-intensive to finish a Royal Oak case. You can see how sharp the breaks are between polish and satin and how undiminished all of the definition is from every angle on every part. We have just the hairline visual expression of the bezel gasket that's always been part of the styling of the Royal Oak. You can see we have a rounded octagonal bezel. The original was inspired by vintage dive helmets. That's where that comes from. The bolts inside of the bezel, and they are bolts, that's how they can align all the way around. Those are white gold and they're hexagonal. And you can see that the chronograph pusher shoulders and the crown are also hexagonal. While this may look like a screw down pusher, it is in fact not one. The sleeves are there just to provide a little bit of security against shearing or damage. The crown does screw down. The watch has a handsome grande tappiserie dial, which is a lovely way of saying it's a hobnail dial en français. And the grand is the larger hobnail dial. The petite is the one you'll find on a jumbo. The mega is the one you'll find on an offshore. But the grand and the petite are both cut on a pantograph lathe. So you can see that super detailed, fine texture across all of the hobnails and then the spaces in between them. Somewhere between 10,000 and 20,000 little dots on this dial where the pantograph has cut the dial. And this has been done in-house at Audemars Piguet for about, I want to say about 13 years now. They've been cutting these on their own pantographs, but it's still done the old-fashioned way on the 19th century mimicry engine. Logos, hands, and the hour indices, white golds. They won't tarnish or oxidize with time. Notice that the inner bezel is polished to reflect light beautifully into the dial. This generation of Royal Oak chronograph features a symmetrical tri-counter dial. All three counters the same size with polished chapter rings. No shortage of lume. It's easy to tell in the dark what time it is. The watch features a screw-down crown and a 50-meter water resistance rating, and so with a screw-down crown and a 50-meter rating, this is fine for surface swimming. Just don't take it deep diving. We have hacking seconds. We have a quick set date. And AP does a pretty good job of ensuring that the fonts on the date disc are the same as the fonts on the dial. You can see that 20 and then the 20 adjacent to it. Turning everything over. All has changed. The previous Royal Oak chronograph used a Audemars Piguet 1185, and while that's a fine movement, it's also getting on in years. We now have a larger in-house caliber 4401, which at 32 millimeters properly fills out this case back. Automatic winding with high-efficiency ceramic bearings. It has a 70 to 72 hour power reserve, a 4 Hz beat rate, pivots on 40 joules, and it includes a full balance bridge with a free-sprung Gyromax style balance for both security against shock and also precise setting with the Gyromax system. Column wheel with a vertical clutch. We'll demonstrate a little bit of that because you can actually see both of them. Here's the column wheel right here, operating the clutch system. Listen to how crisp it sounds, and it feels just as good. So that is the column wheel system for crisp feel and precision, and then vertical clutch means it engages without any play or stagger or jump. So when you start the chronograph, there's no extraneous motion, just starts moving. Now, vertical clutches are generally not that interesting to look at. This one is an exception because you can actually see the mechanism under my finger here. This and maybe the Roger Dubuis 680 chronograph series, the only chronograph movements I know of that put the vertical clutch on display. We've got a handsome rotor, and if we're honest with ourselves, the rotor is the element of the movement that is most obviously hand-finished. The rest is mostly a combination of high-level mechanical executions that are price-appropriate and attractive, just not quite as compelling as the rotor, where we have a number of different finishes, including internal beveling. We have these sharp interior angles. I mean, look at how many AP's given you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I mean, that's a lot. So this is a beautifully decorated rotor that's a real highlight. And if you look at the center, you can see the rotor center itself is actually a rounded octagon. See how it frames the bearing at center? Yeah, it's a rounded octagon. So it's a reference to the famed Royal Oak bezel, and then sunburst finish at center. A gorgeous watch and a wonderful daily companion. Reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.